Hey everyone, welcome to my channel.
We help you make informed decisions.
The upcoming debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris on September 10th is set to be a highly anticipated and potentially pivotal moment in the political landscape. As two of the most prominent figures in American politics, their face-to-face encounter promises to be a clash of contrasting styles, policies, and visions for the country's future.
So buckle up as we outline the opportunities, threats, tactics, and strategies for each candidate. This can help us understand how each might navigate the debate to their advantage while mitigating potential risks.
Let's look at key opportunities for Donald Trump. Appeal to populist sentiments. Trump can capitalize on populist themes, emphasizing his outsider status and critique of the political establishment. This could resonate with voters who feel alienated by traditional politics.
Anyway, I don't sound like a politician because I'm not a politician. I never wanted to be a politician.
Highlighting economic accomplishments. He can focus on his administration's pre-pandemic economic performance, such as tax cuts and deregulation, which may appeal to conservative voters and those who prioritize economic growth.
Nobody has done what we and this administration has been able to do. With regulations, with taxes, with rebuilding our military, with strengthening our borders.
Emphasizing law and order. Given his strong stance on law enforcement and border security, Trump can appeal to voters who prioritize national security and public safety.
I am the law and order candidate.
Criticizing the current administration. Trump could seize the opportunity to critique the Biden-Harris administration on issues like inflation, foreign policy, or immigration, presenting himself as a preferable alternative.
But he ruined it because he screwed up energy so badly that inflation went crazy, and now inflation's through the roof. They can't lower interest rates because if they do, you're going to drive up inflation to levels that nobody's ever seen before. We have among the highest inflation we've ever had. We've never had inflation like this, and it's sticking. It's not going down at all.
Now, some opportunities for Kamala Harris, highlighting inclusivity and diversity. Harris can appeal to diverse voter demographics by emphasizing her background and her commitment to social justice and equality.
Justice. Let's talk about that. Because the reality is that the life of a Black person in America has never been treated as fully human. And we have yet to fulfill that promise of equal justice under law.
Focusing on progressive policies. She can leverage her stance on healthcare reform, climate change, and education to appeal to younger and more progressive voters.
No, it's about providing health care to all people. It's about understanding that access to affordable health care should not be a privilege, it should be a right. It's about understanding that in a democracy, and the way we have constructed our democracy, we, at least in concept, have said that your access to public education, public health, or public safety should not be a function of how much money you have.
Emphasizing competence and experience. Harris could showcase her experience as a former prosecutor and her tenure in the Senate, positioning herself as a knowledgeable and capable leader.
As a young courtroom prosecutor in Oakland, California, I stood up for women and children against predators who abuse them. As Attorney General of California, I took on the big banks, delivered $20 billion for middle-class families who faced foreclosure, and helped pass a homeowner bill of rights, one of the first of its kind in the nation.
Highlighting Trump's controversies. She can focus on controversies and policies from Trump's presidency that may have been unpopular, such as his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic or allegations of undermining democratic norms.
You can call it a germ, you can call it a flu, you can call it a virus. You can call it many different names. I'm not sure anybody even knows what it is.
Trump was working on screwing up the pandemic before there was even a pandemic to screw up.
The Trump administration disbanding the National Security Council's pandemic unit in 20.
Let's look at some threats for Donald Trump. Potential for gaffes or offensive remarks. Trump's unscripted and direct style can lead to controversial or off-message remarks that may alienate undecided or moderate voters.
Go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
Voter fatigue. Some voters may be tired of Trump's style and rhetoric, potentially reducing his appeal among those looking for a change. Fact-checking risks. Given past criticisms about factual inaccuracies, Trump could face intense scrutiny and fact-checking that might undermine his credibility.
It was a remarkably long acceptance speech, Jake, and a remarkably dishonest acceptance speech. I counted at least 22 false claims from Donald Trump on first listen. Let's start with one of the wildest claims he made.
Changing demographics and voter priorities. Shifts in voter demographics and priorities, such as a greater focus on social justice and environmental issues, could work against Trump if he is perceived as out of touch with these concerns.
Key threats for Kamala Harris. Perception of over-aggressiveness. Harris's debate style, which can be assertive, might be perceived as overly aggressive by some viewers, potentially alienating moderate voters.
Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No.
Do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well,
I
there
did
was
not
a
oppose.
failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision.
So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act.
Association with controversial policies. Her record as a prosecutor and certain policy positions may be seen as controversial, particularly among more progressive voters who expect bold reform. Limited national experience. Compared to Trump, Harris has less experience in national-level executive roles, which could be portrayed as a lack of leadership experience. Handling of critiques. Trump's aggressive debate style might put Harris on the defensive, making it challenging for her to maintain control of the narrative.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Let's look at some tactics that Trump can use. Interrupt and dominate. Trump might use interruptions and an aggressive style to dominate the debate, aiming to unsettle Harris and keep her from effectively making her points.
Now, make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question
Why wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the question is the question is
Justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your
appeal directly to the base? He could focus on energizing his core supporters by reiterating popular talking points and using rhetoric that resonates with them. Use humor and nicknames. Trump is known for using humor and nicknames to disarm opponents and appeal to his audience. He may use these tactics to distract or belittle Harris.
Sloppy Steve brought him into the White House quite a bit. It was one of those things. That's why Sloppy Steve is now looking for a job.
But you know, this poor, pathetic, low-energy guy, he gets up and he does a commercial that Hillary...
So I'm looking at little Marco and I say, man, there's something happening with him. And he's like melting. Little rocket man. Rocket fuel for the American.
Frame the debate on his terms. By focusing on issues where he feels strong, such as the economy or law and order, Trump can attempt to steer the conversation away from areas where he is weaker.
Some tactics that Kamala can use. Fact-checking and precision. Harris might focus on providing precise, factual rebuttals to Trump's points, aiming to highlight inconsistencies or inaccuracies in his statements. Stay composed and professional. She could maintain a calm and composed demeanor to contrast with Trump's more confrontational style, appealing to voters looking for a stable, measured leader. Personalized policy impacts. Harris could use stories and examples to make policy discussions more relatable to the average voter, particularly on issues like healthcare and education. Highlight bipartisanship and unity. Emphasizing a message of unity and bipartisanship could appeal to undecided and moderate voters who are tired of divisive politics.
Here's a good strategy for Trump. Reaffirm leadership qualities. Trump's strategy could be to project strong leadership and decisiveness, emphasizing his track record as a past president and framing himself as the experienced choice. Shift focus to controversial issues. He may aim to keep the focus on controversial topics that could be disadvantageous for Harris or the Biden administration, like inflation or border security. Create doubts about Harris's readiness. Trump might aim to cast doubt on Harris's readiness to lead, questioning her experience and capability to handle national crises. Invoke nostalgia for past policies. By invoking nostalgia for his administration's policies, he could appeal to voters who feel they were better off during his presidency.
A good strategy for Kamala. Emphasize policy competence and vision. Harris could focus on demonstrating a strong command of policy details and presenting a clear, forward-looking vision for the country. Differentiate from Trump's style and policies. Her strategy might involve contrasting her approach with Trump's, emphasizing inclusivity, empathy, and a commitment to democratic norms. Appeal to undecided voters. By addressing concerns and interests of undecided or swing voters, Harris could aim to broaden her appeal beyond the Democratic base. Focus on a positive, hopeful message. Harris could use a strategy centered on optimism and hope, contrasting this with Trump's often more critical or combative rhetoric.
By understanding these opportunities, threats, tactics, and strategies, each candidate can better prepare for a debate, aiming to maximize their strengths and mitigate weaknesses to appeal to the electorate effectively.
So now you know what to expect from the upcoming debate. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.